Okay, hello students, hello everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Okay, am I audible to
afternoon,
everyone,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Audible,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
fine. So I hope that you have already received the exam routine of your midterm exam. Okay. So some of the points that I need to discuss with you, listen it very clearly. Those who are absent today, so please convey the information to them. Okay. So the first point I'm discussing about the question pattern from my subject point of view. Okay, so all the subject teachers will do the same thing for their corresponding subjects. So in my subject, this computer programming for problem solving, I actually did a question, prepared a question for 30 marks. Okay, which I already mentioned in our WhatsApp group. 5 marks MCQ questions are there. Okay, and then 2 marks question, total 5 questions are there for 2 marks, and then 3 marks question are there, total 5 questions are there. 10 plus 3 marks question, total 5 questions are there. Okay, so 1 marks question, 1 marks MCQ, total 5 questions are there, so 5 marks. Then 2 marks question, total 5 questions are there, so 5 into 2, 10 marks, and then 3 marks question, total 5 questions are there, so 5 into 3, 15 marks. So total 30 marks. You will get 1 hour time, okay, to write your answer, and 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes extra time you will get to upload your answer script accordingly. Okay, so all the network issues, everything you have to be handled within that stipulated amount of time. Okay, so my exam will be started. My exam date will be given on 18th of May. That is the coming Tuesday. Okay, the next week Tuesday from 1 to 2:30 p.m. So 1 to 2 p.m. is your exam time. That means the time that you need to write your answers, and then from 2 to 2:30 you will get to upload your answer script accordingly. Okay. So all the network issues, or everything, internet connection issues, any technical issues, you will have to handle within these 30 minutes. Okay, that is clear to everyone, right? Now the thing is that in my case, I have designed one Google form. Okay, listen very carefully. I have designed one Google form. So 5 MCQ questions are there in the Google form. So just like I have already taken the class test in Google form, in the same way you will have to give the 5 MCQ test questions answers. Okay, that is very easy. Now for the descriptive type of questions, I have just created one link. It means after those 5 MCQ questions, you will get one link, one browse option where you are able to upload a PDF file. Okay. So maximum size of the PDF file has been given 10 MB, 10 megabyte. I think that will be enough to whatever PDF file you will generate, whatever answers you will write, 10 MB will be enough after getting a scan document. Okay. So you will have to write your answers at your home by any rough sheet. Clearly, you have to write it. Okay, and then use any one of the good. There are several apps are there, several Google softwares are there. You can use any one of the software to take a proper scanner, or you can use a scanner device. If you have the scanner device, you can use it to take a proper scanning of those documents. Okay, and upload together all the answer into a single PDF within that browse button window. Okay, you will get that browse window in your Google form, and after uploading the browse window successfully, then you are getting the options of submit button there. Okay, is it clear to everyone? Is this information clear to everyone? 5 MCQ
Yes,
questions
sir.
are there where you can give the answers. Just click on the correct button. Okay, so the MCQ type or MCQ radio buttons are there. You have to click on the correct button and give the answers. Then followed by one browse options or one browse window option you will get after the 5 MCQ question. In that browse window option, you will have to write the answers at your home in any hard copy, and after completion of the answers you will have to take a proper scan of those documents, and those documents will be uploaded into a single PDF file within the size of 10 megabyte into that browse window option, and then you will submit your form. Okay, while you will submit your form successfully, you will get simply a response that you recorded your response has been recorded successfully, right? So this is all about the thing. So one thing you should remember, two things that is very important. First thing is that while you are writing your answers in any blank sheets which you are going to upload, at the first page, on the top of the first page, all of you must have to write your name, roll number, okay, section, years, and subject code. Okay, subject name and subject code. All of you must write it. You will get your subject name and subject code in your Google form. At the top of the Google form, the form that which I am going to share with you, in that you will get your subject code and subject name. And I am also shared you one PDF question into your Google Classroom. Okay. At the same time, while I have given the link into Google Classroom, along with the same link, I am going to share one question in PDF format in Google Classroom, where you will get all the questions in descriptive, all the descriptive questions in that PDF file. Okay, because in Google form I didn't give the questions, I just mentioned the browse button, and in the form I'm just writing that this is a place where you can upload your descriptive answers. Okay, in a browse button. So where you will get those descriptive questions from that PDF file, which I am going to share along with the Google form link in your Google Classroom at 1 p.m. time, as per the time, okay, that has been given in the schedule. So in that PDF form, you will get all the MCQ as well as your descriptive questions there. So according to that question, you will have to write it. So one thing you should remember, the first you will have to write your name, roll number at the first page of your scanning document. That is very, very important. Without name and roll number, your answer script will not be evaluated. I repeat again, without name, roll number, proper credentials, your answer scripts will not be evaluated, right? Second thing is that you will have to clearly write the answers, okay, as much as you can. Write it very clearly and scan it very properly, okay, very clearly. Don't make a very hazy scan, okay, because otherwise it will be difficult for me to understand. I think you understood that problem, okay. So this is all about the things that I need to share with you. So those who are absent, please convey this information to them, right? Anyone has any question?
Sir,
Yes.
hello.
Yes, please.
Sir, I'm just asking, sir, do we have to sign on every page?
No, you don't need to sign. You just need to write your credentials at the first page, top of the first page. That will be enough. Okay, because you are giving
Sir,
only
top
one.
of the first.
Yes, because you are giving only
Sir, do
one
you,
single PDF form. Okay, you are giving only
okay,
one
okay.
single PDF of your answer script. Don't make multiple PDF. Actually, you don't have an option to upload multiple PDFs, right? Because I am giving only one browse window, browse button. Okay, so in the one browse button, you are allowed to upload only one PDF file. Understood? So I am just conveying all this information to you because at the day of the exam, you will not face any problem. Because if you will face any problem, your time will be wasted. And I have to stop accepting responses after the 2:30, the time which has been given. And as per the instruction that I have received from the HOD and from the management department, that you will have to open your camera, okay, video camera during the examination. All of you must open your video camera. Now, those who didn't have video camera, I can't say you any other solution about it. Okay, so you can talk with the HOD regarding the solution. Those who doesn't have the video camera, if they will allow me, if the HOD will allow me to take exam without video camera, then I will do it. If he or the management will not allow me to take the exam without your video appearance, then I cannot do it. Okay, is it clear? Okay, so let's start with today's discussion. So in the last class, I already finished the discussion about if-else structure. That means the decision making and branching. Okay, where I discussed about the various forms of if-else, else-if ladder. I discussed about the switch cases. I discussed about the break statement, how to use break statement. So all these things I have discussed in a very detailed form in the last class. Okay. Today, my main objective is to start the discussion about C looping. Okay, that means looping or repetition that is actually happened in C, and this is one of the core part, you can say, or you can say the heart of every programming language. This looping and repetition is the heart of every programming language, or is a core part of every programming language. And this is the particular topic, or this is the particular tool by the help of any programming language can reduce your effort of doing the same task again and again. Okay, that is the main objective of learning this looping activity or repetition activity in any programming language, that by the help of this looping activity you are able to reduce the doing the same job again and again, and you can apply the same job for a large number of data within a few seconds with the help of this looping or repetition structure of any programming language, right? So while we learned about our flowchart and algorithm, we already discussed about this looping concepts, okay, in the form of flowchart. Let's see today how we can implement the same looping concepts in the form of C programming or in the form of C code. Okay, so looping means you need to execute a block of code several number of times, and in general, statements are executed sequentially. The first statement in a function is executed first, followed by the second statement, and so on. So within the loop, there is a looping body or body of the loop, which is nothing but a collection of statements, right? Within the loop, there is a looping body. Each and every loop, under each and every loop, there is a looping body, which will be executed one after another, right, in sequential fashion. Okay. Now, how many number of the loop, as per your condition, the loop will be repeated. That number of times, all the statements within the body of the loop will be executed. Ki bolla, how many number of times you are calling your loop based on some condition, or your loop will be repeated based on some condition, your body of the statement within the same loop will be repeated or will be executed sequentially that same number of times. Okay, the loop statement allows us to execute a statement or a group of statements, means multiple lines, and following is the general form of loop statement in the most programming language. This is a general form of loop statement of many programming language. This form we have already learned while we learned our flowchart and algorithm concept in C programming, right? So this is the input of your statement. Your condition will be first checked. Okay, so this is the looping condition has been given to you. So in case of if and else, the condition will be checked, and based on the condition, you will have to take only one decision, either true or false. Okay, in case of if else or decision making, based on the condition, you are able to allow to take only one decision, either true or false. Okay, but or yes or no. But in case of looping, you can take, if the condition will be satisfied, you can take the decision multiple number of times until the condition will satisfy. Okay, so this is called a feedback loop or feedback path, which we have already learned in our flowchart design. This feedback path and this conditional code. This conditional code means your body of the loop. Okay, the same thing. Conditional code here represents the body of the loop. That means if the condition is true, then this body of the loop will be repeated or executed. Okay, so if the condition of the loop is true, then the body of the loop or the statement which is written inside the body of the loop will be executed that number of time until the condition will be true. And if anyhow the condition will false, then this will not be repeated, then it will go into the false statement or ending of the loop or termination of the loop, right? These are general structure of every loop. So in C programming, there are three kind of loops are available. Okay, while loop, for loop, and do while loop. What are those three loops are available in C programming? While loop, do while loop, and for loop. Okay, among these three looping structure, while loop, do while loop, and for loop, the first and third, that means the while loop and the for loop, these two are the most popular and most widely used structure. Do while loop is not used in all the cases because it has one limitation or one drawback. Okay, which makes it different from other two types of loops, while loop and for loop. What is the limit? What is that limitation of do while loop? That I am going to discuss, and that is a very important. The question will come frequently, that what is the difference between do while loop and while loop, and what is the disadvantage or limitation of do while loop. That's why we prefer to use while loop over do while loop or for loop over do while loop, right? So what is while loop? If anyone has any problem regarding the discussion, please ask me the question. Okay, so what is while loop and how we can represent a while loop in C program? This is the general statement how we can represent a while loop in a C program. While we will give some conditions, okay, then we will give a statement of body, right? So in more specifically, if we are going to represent a while loop, then we can represent a while loop in such a way that we will have to first do initialization First, we have to do initialization. Then we will have to do while condition checking. We will do here. Now within the open brace and close brace, okay, we'll have to give the body of the loop or the statement which are going to be executed. Anything you can write here, either body of the loop or the statements which are going to be executed. Okay, okay, and here we will stop our command line. So this is the general way or general form of representing a loop. Try to understand and try to grab the concept. Okay. So our loop, entire loop concept is divided into three parts. One is the initialization. Okay. Achha. One more thing that we need to discuss, that within the body of the loop, you will have to do one more important thing, that is increment or decrement operation. Increment or decrement, that is also very important. Along with the body of the loop, you will have to do this operation, increment or decrement operation. Okay. So your entire one loop, one while loop, it contains these three parts or divided into three parts. One is initialization. That means here you are going to initialize your variable like this, int I equal to 0. Okay. You can initialize your variable in this initialization part in such a way, right? Now in the condition part, then the second component, second part is the condition. While you are going to check that until you are going to satisfy that particular condition, your loop will be repeated or your loop will be executed multiple amount of times. Okay. So suppose I have given this condition. Try to understand the condition very carefully. I less than equal to 3. That means you have initialized the value of I is 0 and your condition has been given that your loop will terminate or your loop will stop when it will get the value I less than equal to 3. That means until the loop will execute, until this condition will satisfy. Try to understand. The loop will execute until this condition will be satisfied. That means when the condition doesn't satisfy, when the value of I is greater than 3, then only the condition doesn't satisfy. Correct. The condition does not satisfy when the value of I is greater than 3, that means 4 or more. Okay. The condition doesn't satisfy until that amount of time, the condition will be satisfied and the body of the loop will be executed that number of time. Clear? Now, suppose you have printed some statement within the body of anything, suppose printf hello world, anything you have printed within the body of the loop, and you will do the increment operation. Increment of what? Increment of looping variable. Which one is the looping variable here? The looping variable is that I. So this variable is called a looping variable. Try to understand. Please don't try to remember these terms. Looping variable. This I is known as the looping variable. Because why it is called looping variable? Because it entirely controls the execution of the loop. That's why it's called looping variable. This variable is mainly responsible to control the execution of the loop. That's why it is called looping variable. So it will start from I equal to 0 and it will execute until this condition will satisfy. So how many times the loop will execute? Try to evaluate. Okay. First, it will enter with I equal to 0, right? It will enter with I equal to 0. This is the first time. Try to understand. It will enter with I equal to 0. So obviously 0 less than equal to 3, the condition satisfies successfully. Then it will enter into a body of the loop. It will execute whatever you have written within the body of the loop. It will execute successfully. And then the value of the I is incremented by 1. Right now, what is the value of the I after an increment? The value of the I becomes 1. So in the next case, the loop will again repeat. Okay, the feedback path is coming from this end to this end. Okay, if you remember in algorithm, I have represented the same thing with the help of goto. Okay, goto statement. The feedback path will come from this end to this end. The control structure will transfer from end of this line to this line because the condition till satisfied. So 1 less than equal to 3, the condition again satisfied, then the loop will be repeated once more. Okay, and the increment operation will be performed again. So right now, after incremented by 1 on the current value of the I, the current value of the I becomes 2. Again, we will check whether 2 is less than equal to 3. Yes, 2 is less than equal to 3. The loop will repeat again. Okay, and again I will be incremented by 1. That means the current value of I becomes 3. Again, we will check whether the 3 is less than equal to 3. Yes, it also satisfies because equal to is there. Okay, it is also satisfied. So the loop will repeat again, and now the value of the I is again incremented and it becomes 4. So now when the I value becomes 4, that means this condition doesn't satisfy. So the loop will terminate and the control arrived at the next line of the end of the loop. Okay, that means whatever operation you will do after the loop, it will start executing that operation, but it will not execute the loop any more time because the condition has been already satisfied. Anyone has any doubt up to this? Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Anyone has any doubt? You can ask me. So we will do the same operation here for you. Let's check it out. I equal to 0, which operation I have already discussed with you. I equal to 0, right? We don't require this statement right now. So we will write while I less than equal to 3. Okay. The loop statement does not require any semicolon. Please remember, the loop statement does not require any semicolon. Here I cannot provide any semicolon. It is not allowed. In similar way, the if else does not require any semicolon. Here the while loop, for loop, or do while loop does not require any semicolon. Okay, but do while loop, the while loop will be ended with a semicolon. Okay, then we will check. So I less than equal to 3. Now within the while loop, I have just written the body of hello world. Okay, hello world. Give a new line, and I did that increment operation by using I++. Okay, so my loop ended here, and my entire block of code is ended here. After returning 0, it is ended here. So this is the basic structure of how we can write a loop with the help of condition, initialization, and increment operation. 3 components of each and every loop must maintain. One is condition, second one is one is initialization, second one is condition, third one is increment. Okay. So now we will execute the loop. So hello world will be executed how many times? 0, 1, 2, 3. 4 times. The hello world will be executed 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Understood? Is it clear to everyone? Buddha Balle?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So if I will ask you to print this hello world 1000 times without the loop, how you can do it? You have to write the printf statement with the hello world 1000 times to print the same hello world statement 1000 times. So it will create a lot of, it will actually wasting you lots of effort, and it will require lots of time. So to reduce that effort and time, the looping concept has been introduced in any programming language. That's why this concept is called the core concept, or you can say the heart of any programming language. So you can execute this statement 1000 times as you want within a few seconds. Within a few seconds. Look, how many? Not seconds. It takes some milliseconds time to execute this hello world 1000 times. Okay, and it will take only 3 lines of code. But if you write without the help of loop, then you will have to write this printf hello world 1000 times. So obviously the length of the code will be increased. It will be more complex, and it will be time and effort consuming. Okay, this is the major advantage of using a loop. Okay, I think it is clear to everyone, right? Now, if I want to create a loop in an infinite form, that means I want to create a loop which will execute infinite amount of time. Okay, then how can I do that? Ki bolla, I want to
not equal to 0. Not equal to 1000 times, like that.
Yes. So we can start in this way. So can anyone tell me when this loop will terminate? When this loop will terminate? I have just changed the condition from less than equal to 2 greater than.
When it is greater than 1000.
When I is greater than 1000.
1000.
1000. 1000. When I is greater than 1000, the loop will terminate. So now the thing is that uh, so greater than 1000 means what? What do you understand by greater than 1000? So
The value
1000
of I should be 1000, greater than 1000.
greater than 1000. So 1001 is also greater than 1000. 1002 is
Yes.
also greater than 1000. 1003 is also greater than 1000, and so on. So any numbers more than 1000 will be greater than 1000. So do you think the loop will give you a finite number of outputs to you, or it will give an infinite number?
Sir, it's an infinite loop.
I'm asking to you. What do you think?
Yes, it's an infinite loop because I is not equal
Yes,
to
sir, it is
greater than
infinite.
Sir,
1000. I just
the,
found
Okay,
it.
okay. Let's
the
execute it.
condition is always true.
क्या
No, it
बोले?
will not
Condition
evaluate.
is
It
always
will not
true.
evaluate. It will not evaluate. Also,
Yes,
you will not
yes.
get the output.
You are not
It will not
getting the
evaluate.
output. Why? Because it is an
Yes.
infinite loop. It is an infinite loop. Actually, I equal to 0 and I will be greater than 1000. Right? I will be greater than 1000. So that means it is an infinite loop. So whenever you are using an increment operation, try to understand what I'm trying to say. Whenever you are using any kind of increment operation, your conditional statement should be less than or less than equal to anything else, anyone else, either less than or less than equal. That means you have to be bounded your condition with some range value. Okay, what I'm trying to say, whenever you are using an increment operation, you have to be bounded or you have to create an upper bound. This is actually upper bound. Right? So less than equal to means what? It's actually upper bound. It will create you an upper bound. Within that upper bound range, you are allowed to increment the value of I, but you cannot make it lower bound. This is called lower bound. Lower bound means there is an infinite range. Greater than 100 means there is no boundation. You can go anywhere beyond 100. So it's an infinite range. Okay. So that is the problem. You cannot do it. So please remember, whenever you're using your plus value, that means your increment operation, you will always have to be an upper bound or a less than equal to operation. Right. Now, if I am doing the same job with a decrement operation, instead of increment, suppose I am doing a decrement operation. All of you are also aware of the decrement operations, I equal to I minus 1, or you can also write it as I minus minus. Okay. So if I will do this decrement operation, so always the value of I will be started with some largest value. It cannot start from 0, because if it will start from 0, the decrement means always it will goes to the negative values. So we don't want it as a negative value. So it is always start from the positive value. Now, when you are performing this decrement operation, you will have to upper bound this logic with the help of greater than operation. Try to understand. When you are performing a decrement operation, you will always try to upper bound this logic with the help of greater than operation. That is the logic. So when you are using increment operation, you are trying to bounded that logic with a upper bound, that means less than or equal to operation or less than operation. But whenever you are using the decrement operation, you will have to upper bound the entire logic with the help of greater than or greater than equals to operation. So it will start from I equal to 5, that is initialization. Now 5 is greater than equal to 0. Yes, 5 is greater than equal to 0. Then it will enter print hello world, and then I minus minus. I minus minus means next time the value of I will be 4. When 4 is greater than equal to 0, yes, 4 is again greater than equal to 0. So it will again enter print hello world, and then again I minus minus. That means the I becomes 3 right now. So again it will enter print it, then I becomes 2. Again it will enter print it, I becomes 1. Again it will enter print it, and I becomes 0. Again it will enter print it. So if you remove this equal to sign, then it will print it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That means 5 times. And if you add this equal to sign, then it will print one more time. That means total 6 times. This hello world. Check it out. So check it out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 times it will print it, because it is printed for I equal to 5. Second time it will print for I equal to 4. This is for I equal to 3. This is for I equal to 2. This is for I equal to 1. And this is for I equal to 0. Okay. And if you remove this equal to sign, then it will be printed for 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it clear to everyone? Buddha Valle? Decrement and increment loop. How we are using in while loop. Decrement and increment operations. Now, tell me the output of this code, what I am written to you in front of you. Okay. I equal to 1, j equal to 1. Try to evaluate. Here I am using the concept of operator as well as looping. Operator concept I have already discussed in details in last classes. I think you should tell me the correct answer. Tell me, what is the answer you will get from here?
One value of I is 1, then j is also 1. After that, 3 times, like 1, 2, 3, and
I will be 5 and J will be 4.
First, tell me how many times this loop will be repeated, or how many outputs you will get, how many lines you will get as the output.
So,
I greater than 4
sorry,
and J greater
sorry.
than 3 until I greater than
3,
4
yeah,
and J
yeah.
greater than
Or,
until.
yeah.
No, I'm asking you that how many statement you will get as the output.
I guess.
Four times.
4 times. It will be 4 times.
Four times.
4 times or 3 times?
Four times.
4, so yeah.
Four
Or
times.
Because we are using OR
Ex-
operator here. OR operator.
Exactly. 4 times output you will get from here. How? Please understood. First, what is the job of this operator? This is a logical OR operator. I already discussed. So logical OR means either any one of these condition true, then it can enter into a loop. If any one of these conditions is true, then it will allow to enter into a loop. So I start from 0 and J start from 1. That means initialization, right? So 1 is less than equal to 4. Yes. 1 is less than equal to 3. Yes. So in the first case, both 1, 1 will be supported, right? So first time the output you will get 1, 1. Very good. Then this will be incremented. I is also incremented. J is also incremented. Now, right now the current I and current J value is 2, 2. So 2 is less than equal to 4. Yes. 2 is less than equal to 3. Yes. So again, you will get the output as a 2, 2. Okay. At a new line dita hobe. 2, 2. Right. Now again, the loop will repeat it with the increment value of I and J. Right now, the current value of I and J is 3, 3. So 3 less than equal to 4. Yes. 3 less than equal to 4. Yes. Both the conditions are true. So if any one of the conditions is true, it will enter, or both the conditions are true, it will enter. But if both the conditions are false, then it will not enter. That is the logic of the logical OR. Okay. So in the next case, the I and J value is 3, 3. So 3, 3 supports both the conditions. So it will again enter. It will print the value 3, 3. Right. Now I and J again incremented by 1. Now the I becomes 4 and J becomes also 4. Now I support this logic. 4 less than equal to 4, it supports this logic. But J doesn't support this logic. Now my question is that whether it will enter into a loop or not. It must enter into a loop. Why? Because I said that it's a logical OR. That means if any one of the condition is true, then it is entered. So one condition is true, I less than equal to 4. I understand that this condition doesn't true. It is a false condition, but doesn't matter because this is a logical OR. So any one of the condition, if any one of the condition is true, then only it will enter into a loop. So I less than equal to 4 is true. So it will enter successfully into a loop and then print the value of both I and J as 4, 4. That is the execution output you will get of this code. Oh, sorry, comma has been deleted. Clear? 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. Is it clear to everyone? Is this logic clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if I will remove this logical OR with the logical AND, what will the output?
1, 1, 2, 2, 3.
It will be able for 3 times. 3 times.
3 times.
1, 1, 2, 2, and 3, 3.
Ekdom correct. Very good. 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3, 3. 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3, 3. Why? Because logical and, if you remember the definition of logical and, it tells that both the condition should be true. Yes.
True.
Both should be 1 and 1. That means true means 1, 1. Both the conditions are true. If any one of the condition is false, then it will never ever enter into the loop in case of logical AND. So first three cases, the conditions for both I and j are true, that we have already seen. But in the last case, only the I condition is true, but j does not true. J condition is false. That's why it will not enter into the loop, and it will give the output up to the previous condition is up to 3, 3. Clear? Bujhte parle? So this kind of code will be given for your in your technical round of interview, okay? And you will have to answer, okay, accordingly. Very tricky kind of code has been given, will be given, okay? You have to answer accordingly, please remember. Okay, now in the first case, the previous program which I have already shown to you, where we are printing the 3 values or 4 values less than equal to 3. Okay, in this way, which is a while loop, right? Now I am showing you the next kind of loop, that is the do while loop. The next kind of loop, that is the do while loop.